back of the net. And for this Portland team, they've had a lot of movement on that back line. And Emily Mingus has been a player that's been them now with them for a few years, coming into her 5th season. 2 years ago, she was on the best 11 and defensive player of the year for Portland. So she's got a lot of responsibility coming, just trying to get chemistry going on that back line.
And she is sometimes overlooked because she isn't one of the bigger names on the roster in terms of international play, but she has the speed, athleticism, and a great defensive presence. She can hang with any striker in the league.
And she's going to have a tough job tonight with Marta and Alex Morgan for the Orlando Pride as we take a look at their starting 11.
Yeah, this lineup, a 3-5-2, I actually really like this because it's aggressive, but it's also defensively, they're going to be really smart in the middle of the field and not allow Portland to dictate the game. So I think this lineup is very, very strong.
You know what Alex Morgan can do in terms of attacking Marta, and just her ability to create is just unreal. And when those two connect, it's just a different team out there.
Yeah, and she had an extraordinary outing with the women's national team in the Tournament of Nations. She was fantastic, but now she really has to put her focus on putting balls away for the team tonight here in Orlando, because with Sydney Leroux not in the lineup, who's the leading scorer right now for Orlando, they're going to have to look towards Alex Morgan and even Marta to finish their opportunities.
Orlando right now sitting in 3rd in the playoff race. Meanwhile, Portland in 4th. An exciting game coming for you tonight here in Orlando, Florida. Crowd is ready to go. They were watching Alex and me beforehand, getting ready for this contest. It's just an exciting time right now in the NWSL with what is going on when you're talking about from 2nd place to the 7th in the standings.
Yeah, and this matchup this evening with just the names that are on this pitch will make for an exciting match. But both teams, like we're going to continue to talk about, are in that playoff hunt, and 3 points are massive. So it's going to be a very competitive game, and it should be a lot of fun.
Orlando in their purple kits. Meanwhile, Portland in the red kits as we are about to get going here in Orlando. Orlando will start off. Again, they want to be able to attack this defense of Portland, see if they can take advantage of a team that early in the season only played with the same lineup in that back row just 2 times.
And
Marta's going to play that one, and it's going to be cleared out on the play by Emily Sonnet. And a first corner coming for Orlando. Set pieces will be huge in this game.
And both teams want to start off. This is a great way to start, to have a corner in the first minute. But both teams want to start off incredibly strong here and take the front foot early on.
Ben Eggman setting up in the corner. She will send it in. That's going to be headed out by Klingenberg. Another opportunity in the corner.
She may want to look to pull this service out a little bit. Yes, Orlando has numbers at the near post, but they also have height blazing in as well.
Sent back in. Branch hits it out, headed back. Weatherholt can't get a piece of that, and Horan just plays that out of danger. We'll have a throw-in coming for Orlando. This is the 3rd matchup between these two teams. They have split, both winning 2-1 each time. Up and over the Krieger there. Bogagu. Edmonds. Trying to slip it through to Morgan. Bogagu. Ellie Carpenter, the youngest player in NWSL history there to score a goal. That's deflected off of Carpenter.
In these first 2 minutes, this is definitely what you want to see from Orlando. In the first opportunity there, Edmonds tried to pass the ball into Alex Morgan, maybe go for a shot from the top of the 18 rather than dishing it there.
3rd corner already on the evening. They now have 84 in this campaign. Sent back in. France punches it out again. Morgan with the head. Bouncing around. And Heath will clear that out. Dangerous opportunity there for Orlando. Krieger sends it back into the box, but no one there.
They can take a breath now. Absolute chaos in the first couple minutes here inside the Portland Thorns 18-yard box.
For whatever reason, though, Orlando has had their struggles when it comes to playing the Portland Thorns. Portland Thorns all-time 5-1-1 against this Orlando Pride club. The only win for Orlando, that was coming back earlier this year in Portland. Marta kicks that forward, Morgan. Emily Sonnet doing a good job of shielding Morgan away from the ball.
Emily Sonnet's got to be careful there.
Obstruction almost.
Yeah, absolutely not going for the ball.
Well, she got away with one, and we'll have a throw-in for the Thorns. Lana Kennedy. Krieger plays it back to Ashlyn Harris.
And this is where this 3-5-2 really comes into play. The center midfielders and Shalina Zadorsky moving in there is a good defensive presence, but they cannot allow Lindsay Horan to spray these balls in.
That's the one thing that head coach Tom Sermani talked about, is just not letting her take advantage on the midfield defensively and offensively. Played on the outside. Marta trying to direct traffic. Morgan into the box, brings it outside. Sonnet. So clear that out for past the touchline for a throw-in. Portland in their last 5 road games, 3-1-1. Meanwhile, Orlando at home in their last 5, 1-2-2. They've just really had trouble putting away teams. That's been a big issue that Tom Sermani and his team have been trying to work on this week at practice.
And with the names on the Orlando Pride roster, you wouldn't think they'd have these types of issues at finishing teams off. But, you know, a little bit of luck here and there can certainly help get some points for them this evening.
Sonnet's going to clear that one away.
But again, with Sydney LaRue, who's out with, leading scorer right now with 6 goals, that's a tough one for Orlando Pride to take.
Another throw-in coming for Orlando as Rasso knocks out. Now they're going to say last touch by Ubogogu.
And just look at the numbers right now that Orlando Pride is throwing forward. There's a lot of players here. It's going to make it difficult for Portland Thorns to build out of their own defensive end.
Look at both these teams really just trying to find a little bit of chemistry right now, with different players being in and out, with Orlando also switching to a new formation, just changing things up a bit to see if they can get some momentum somewhere.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Marta throws one up, and that's going to be just wide of the post. Corner kick coming as that was deflected out. Orlando again with another opportunity here on a corner.
4 corner kicks in the first 7 minutes here certainly has Portland Thorns on their heels.
Headed, and that is going to go out. Edmonds trying to send it back in, and that's headed away. Heath brings it down on the first touch, plays it forward. Another throw-in try coming for Orlando. And you just see Orlando going right at that back 4 of Portland.
And it's been so much of Orlando in these first 7 minutes here that Portland hasn't really been able to find a flow. It's the first couple passes they've actually been able to make successfully.
Maybe here they can just set something up and see if they can get something going, some movement. Duran. Across the field. Rasso. Carpenter. Goes right back to Rasso. Sends it in. And that's going to be headed away. Carpenter fighting through.
And that's going to be a tough back line for Portland to match up against with those types of services. With the height of Kennedy and Presley and Krieger's strength, that's going to be a tough line to kind of combat with in the air.
Head coach Mark Parsons for the Portland Thorns. WSL champion last season. They won it here in Orlando. So obviously this pitch has a lot of great meaning to them. And the fact that Orlando has yet to get a victory at home against Portland is another thing. There's just some teams that have other teams' numbers, and that just seems to be the case right now.
Absolutely. And Mark Parsons has done a great job once he went out to Portland Thorns. I mean, he did a great job when he was at Washington as well, built a good program there too. He's just so organized.
Edmonds
Really demands a lot out of his players.
plays that off of Heath. They throw into Weatherholt. Klingenberg on Weatherholt. Plays it off Klingenberg, and we got another corner. This time, though, from the opposite corner that we've seen.
5 corners that have all actually been incredibly dangerous.
Taking advantage of that, that's for sure. Set pieces are so dangerous at this level. If they can find a way to put one in, that'd be a huge start. Short kick. Marta sends it in. That one cleared out. Good job there by Mingus. I do wonder how this Portland defense will change with having the loss of Kat Reynolds, as she is now out for the season.
There are definitely some players that are interchangeable. You know, we've seen Midge Purse has gotten some starts this season as well when she came back from an ankle injury. And prior.
We are going to have a stoppage. I don't know if this is for Haran going to the ground or for Marta. But either way, it's still Portland will have a kick. Is our official Ekaterina Koroleva explains to Marta what she was thinking.
She definitely was getting a little bit of contact with Lindsay Horan there, but not enough for her to fall down. And then off. Yeah, Lindsay Horan gets taken down to the turf as well, which is the eventual foul.
Klingenberg backing up. Mingus. Marta putting pressure on her, but Klingenberg.
Definitely a scary square pass that no coach likes to see out of from your center back to your left back.
Again, just really nothing developing in terms of Portland just being able to create any kind of offense right now.
And this is what Tom Sermani said to us the other day on our call. He absolutely does not want Portland to find their rhythm, and they haven't.
I think that might be the first time that Sinclair's touched the ball.
Other than on a clearance from a corner kick, I think.
Gogu. And that goes right into French.
A decent ball in from Ubogagu, but there's really no runners in the box. An easy pickup for French.
12th minute, still 0-0. These teams are separated by just 1 point in the standings. Orlando in third with 30 points. Portland in fourth with 29 points. Chicago also there with 29 points as well. But if the playoffs were to start today, Portland would be in because of head-to-head games. Heath gets around Edmonds. Sends one in with the left, and that's going to be headed away. Van Egmond clears it out of danger.
And a good idea from Tobin Heath, but maybe pull it back a little bit away from the top of the 6, because like we said earlier, the towers that are the back line of Orlando Pride are going to be able to deal with those types of services.
Klingenberg dribbles that one out of bounds. Edmonds with a throw-in. So we have another whistle. Just get right back to Edmonds. Coach Parsons talked about how his team was a little bit tired on Sunday. You wonder if that might be the case, just with all the games as Haran moves in the top of the box. Nothing going there, but you do wonder if that is the case with how many games were played with the Tournament of Nations, with multiple players participating in that, as Haran is on the field just outside the pit, outside the box.
I mean, we've definitely seen, you know, every team is dealing with all of the players coming off the Tournament of Nations and the fatigue that set in from that tournament. But, you know, North Carolina as well had players there, and then they were playing in their own tournament as well. So it's fatigue for every team across the board is definitely there, especially with midweek games coming up. It's a lot. It's a lot on the legs.
Says
and just a little knock here, a follow through from Presley. No intent to injure, nothing at all. Just a clearance, and then her foot followed through right into Horan's leg.
it's always tough to take those off the legs, off the shins, even with the guards. It still hurts.
Sometimes players wear guards that aren't actually ever going to protect them from anything like that.
Sinclair. Rasso. Trying to get by Ubo Gagu. She does. Sends a low liner in, and that's going to be cleared out. Carpenter. Brings it back. Sonnet. Trying to get it to Klingenberg. They are going to say she held it in. No, they are going to say she was on the line or over the line.
And that's the first little decent look we've had from Portland. Obviously no shot.
Carpenter, Sinclair. To Edmonds. You look at these two teams. They're in the top 2 and 3 teams in scoring, with Portland having 30 goals on the year, in Orlando with 29. Everyone, of course, trailing North Carolina Courage.
They definitely, both teams definitely have the ability to put the ball in the back of the net. It's just generating those opportunities and taking advantage of them. I think that's the biggest thing both of these teams need to focus on tonight. You can't take any opportunity for granted. Finish your teams off.
Carpenter. Brings it back to Sonnet. Marta trying to harass her. Minguez. Heath. Sends it forward with the left. No one there for Portland, though. Weatherholt plays it back. That one off of Heath. Evans directed towards the back. She'll have another throw in, though. Hello. To Marta. But Marta with a flag up.
Just a step. She's obviously concerned with that call, not liking it. When they're called offside, but she was just a step beyond Emily Sonnet. And obviously waiting until she touches that ball for the flag to raise.
A slow start for Portland, but Orlando, they've been able to get things going offensively in terms of set pieces with those corner kicks. Branch will come up to take the kick. Rasso with an opportunity. Oh, just off the near post. Rasso with the best chance of the evening for both teams, and just could not get that one to go in.
She certainly had Ashlyn Harris beat. Orlando should go kiss that post right now. It's keeping them in this game. Just a silly turnover.
Kennedy just had nothing on this pass right there.
Kennedy just has to try to turn and knock it either over the end line or kick it out of bounds on the sideline if she can get her hips around it.
Edmonds with some space. Heath puts her shoulder down, and we'll see where that was called. Is it in the box or was it just outside?
I believe it was definitely, the contact was certainly outside of the 18. Definitely outside of the box. Even Edmonds isn't arguing.
Heath obviously not happy with that call. It's right outside the box, but still a kick coming nonetheless.
It was a good shoulder to shoulder, just a little much there from Tobin Heath.
Always presents a dangerous challenge here for Portland. Marta, punched out by France. And then Carpenter just plays it away, and Allie Krieger will come and retrieve the ball.
The last couple minutes have been very back and forth. Adriana Franch coming up with a huge save there for Portland.
Sonnet will play that one once again out. Orlando doing an excellent job this evening putting pressure on Portland here early in this match. Morgan trying to fight and get in front of Carpenter. Kennedy plays it to Krieger, former U.S. national team member. Klingenberg, back to Horan. Sinclair.
And that is the reason why Zadorski's in that midfield right there, to kind of win those battles, those 1v1 battles against Christine Sinclair.
Klingenberg. Sonnet. Set something up, see how they can create some sort of offense. Best chance on a misplay by Kennedy in her own box, as Rasso had an opportunity to squeeze one in, but unfortunately for her, it hit off the near post.
Their patience here in the last couple minutes has been good, but they just really haven't been able to mount much of an attack. And that's all kudos to Portland, kind of sticking to their game plan right now, not letting Lindsay Horan, Tobin Heath, Sinclair dictate that middle of the park.
Both these teams, this is really just a massive game with 3 points on the line, trying to get better seeding in the playoff picture, especially with Seattle getting a win today against Utah in the lifetime game of the week. That just upped them in the standings to 36 points in second. So even tonight, if Orlando does win, they're still 3 points behind Seattle. Edmonds with the throw in. Marta plays it forward. Sonnet. Up to Mingus. Mingus with a long ball. Kennedy. That's going to sail over the head. Somehow kept in.
And going back to your last point there about Utah losing the game to Seattle this afternoon, it gives, only 1 point difference from Chicago and Portland. But they can breathe a little bit of sigh of relief, because if they can each get a point, or if they can get a point, Portland here, and move up to 30, or a couple points clear of Utah, Spoils FC.
And Portland has a huge match in next week's game of the week versus Chicago.
It's coming down to the wire these last couple weeks.
Headed forward. Weatherholt unable to get there. Morgan to Weatherholt. That just behind Marta. Edmonds sends one in. French coming out, punches. And Sinclair.
Adriana Franch has just been huge so far for Portland this evening. Coming out, punching, making saves off of services, doing a great job.
Another one of those players that's been out a majority of the season with an injury, or when she wasn't playing the Tournament of Nations. But before her injury, she had started 27 straight games dating back to last season for this Thorns team.
That is certainly, I'm assuming Tobin Heath has to be getting a card here. That is just...
That was a straight push by Heath there.
Or not just a warning, but that's her second kind of major foul. That she extended her arms away from her body and just pushes Edmonds off the field.
We've seen Tobin Heath be physical here now a couple times this evening.
And I'm not really sure why Edmonds is getting spoken to, because she didn't do anything to ask for that foul.
Maybe it's just something our referee has been seeing throughout the night and just wants to calm things down on both sides before it gets a little bit too chippy.
Yeah, be aware of the situation. that both players are currently in.
Marta towards the 6. Heath up to Rasso, right back. Klingenberg. And Klingenberg will let Franch pick this one up.
And just going back to that foul by Tobin Heath, that's just a frustration foul there. You don't, it's still pretty early in the game. Neither team has really been able to get much other than a couple set pieces here and there. Just got to calm it down a bit.
Really, back-to-back games, just frustration for Tobin Heath. You saw that in the game against North Carolina Courage on Sunday. So just playing really not how you see Tobin Heath play.
No. Every player is entitled, not saying it's okay, but they do have those kind of frustrating matches, and there's still more soccer to be played this evening.
Carpenter with a little bit of room. Sends one with the right, and that's going to go to the left. We'll have a goal kick coming for Ashlyn Harris.
And Portland, in the couple of times that they've switched the point of attack to that right side, they've generated something. Obviously not being able to get a shot off there, just a little out of the reach of Crnogorcevic.
You can tell both teams in this game are aware of the weapons that one another has, and that's especially what Coach Parsons talked about, is just being aware of what Marta does and what Morgan does as Crnogorcevic moves it forward. Carpenter. Bure, almost taken away by Marta from behind. Mingus. Finds Heath. Baran. Carpenter. Rasso. Sends one across, and that's going to be headed away. Good play there with the diving header by Alana Kennedy.
And a good little build-up. This is where Portland has gotten a lot of their success so far this game. The little opportunities that they have come from that right side. And Rasso's always really good at getting end line and serving it back. But Alana Kennedy does a great job at clearing it over the line.
And here is where Portland is so terrifying on set pieces coming from the corner, and just how good Lindsay Horan has been. Heath. Bounces around and lays down. And now Portland got their first set corner of the night. Again, both these teams, you have to worry about what they can do set piece-wise, because they just have so many different weapons and so many different ways of scoring. Coach Mark Parsons talked about their ability to do that, not just this year, but in the last 3. And before it was Allie Long, who was usually in Horan's place. And now Horan has taken that as Allie Long has moved out to Seattle as Alex Morgan is down. You hope that nothing is wrong with her and that she'll be able to get back up.
Looks as if she's just holding that right ankle there.
Sinclair given a yellow card on that. See exactly what happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, the yellow card has been issued to Portland number 12, Sinclair.
I mean, it just seemed as if their feet got tangled up a bit, maybe because her cleats were up as she was falling. I'm not really sure why that's a yellow card when there's been other fouls that have been somewhat worse than that.
Christine Sinclair's first yellow card of the season. And Alex Morgan, if she's unable to go, this would be quite a blow to Orlando's offense, especially with having Sydney LaRue out. Because Sydney LaRue coming in had 6 goals on the season.
Yeah, this would be a huge loss. You hope it's nothing too serious here, because we talked about her pregame. Really, a lot of the things she's been talking about this week is the meetings that her and her teammates have been having. And with the names that they have on this team, how are they going to produce their best self? How are they going to be their best self? And without Alex Morgan and Sydney LaRue on the pitch, it's really hard to do.
And then you just see what these two have done together. Unfortunately, Sydney LaRue out tonight with an illness. But when they're playing together, these two have had so much chemistry. They've been playing together since the U20s, which they actually won in 2008. Sydney LaRue was the Golden Boot winner, and Alex Morgan third in goals.
Yeah, they certainly have a nose for the goal. And this, you know, anytime either of them are out, it's a hit to any team. And this is certainly not something you want to see. And they're just so dominant and have the ability to raise the level of a team.
Morgan able to jog off, and you just hope that she'll be literally able to continue to jog it off and be back in this one. And it looks like that will be the case, but a lot of exciting things. We talk about the playoffs going on, but we also have the U20 Women's FIFA Cup going on over in France right now, which many of these players played themselves in at one time. So eventually we could see some of those girls playing in that World Cup come over and play in the NWSL here in a few years.
You hope. You hope
That's what you want to see.
That's the natural path, natural progression here to the NWSL.
Mitch Purse, Megan Klingenberg for Portland played there, as well as Haran, Alex Morgan, Cindy LaRue, Upagagu, and Christine Nairn, also for Orlando, took place in at least one of those tournaments at some point. Sonnet. Back to Franch. Franch. Klingenberg. Bouret right back to Klingenberg.
And you go back to that international experience. So many of these players have international caps. This team, this game, the 22 players on this field, there's so much experience between the two teams.
Carpenter. Rasso, her fellow Matilda. Bouret. Trying to get that one to Cerna Gorchevich, but unable to. Marta in the circle. Haran trailing her. Marta slowing things down.
And that's exactly what you want the Portland backline to do. Just slow them down. Don't let Alex Morgan and Marta run at you. Got to get numbers back. Slow them down.
Rasso. Moving forward with the ball. Edmonds. Turns. Gets around Haran, another push down.
And that was good, going back to that defensive presence of Allie Krieger. She was a good second defender there. Kennedy was beat, and she just got a toe, and Allie Krieger did, to disrupt that attack for Portland. I'm surprised this isn't a card.
Well, especially after we've seen a couple warnings now, and we've just seen numerous times Portland just be more physical with this Orlando team.
I'm not sure. Edmonds is getting a lot of these fouls against her.
Edmonds in her third year with Orlando. Bouret. Coming up is Krieger. Edmonds. Heath. Then Eggman. Upagagu trying to get around Carpenter. Lana Kennedy, the Australian, plays it forward. Marta brings it back. Marta, and Franch easily scoops that one, saw that one all the way through.
A nice little smother there by Adriana Franch, not to give up, because that was kind of skipping into her. Not a ton of pace, but it was bouncing in. Those make for tough saves sometimes.
Krieger heads that one back. Presley. We're gonna have offside call. Enter the 33rd minute here in Orlando. Our score is still 0-0. I'm Josh Toll. With me is Danielle Malagari.
And we haven't seen much of that, obviously an offside here against Orlando, but we haven't seen a ton of those types of services from Presley this evening. She is so dangerous with that longer ball, kind of varying up services from different parts of the field. I think if anyone can get a flick, and you see Marta running in behind or Alex Morgan running in behind.
Both these teams, you really look at this week coming in, and both had good game plans coming into tonight's game, and both have been executing so far. Edmonds plays that off Klingenberg for a throw.
I would say Orlando Pride certainly has the upper hand at this point in terms of, other than the opportunity that was created by a misplay for Portland, Orlando's generated the better opportunities.
Weatherholt. It's taken away by Mingus. Marta into the box. Then Eggman. And that one just to the right.
Her first touch there didn't really allow her to kind of continue to move the ball. It just kind of killed the ball, so she had to go back to her right. Didn't really allow her to get much of a shot, or a good shot, not on frame.
Still, you go back, probably the best shot of the night was the one from Rassa.
Which was a giveaway, and that's how their opportunity was created for Portland.
That's really the only mistake that Orlando has made this evening so far. Edmonds. Marta, back to Weatherholt. Plays it to Morgan. Weatherholt gets it right back with the right. Again, France just seen that one all the way through.
And that's a good look for Weatherholt. Just a little bit more pace, a little bit more towards that back post, make French have to actually leave her feet to make a save, but that was just an easy pickoff for French.
Coach Tom Sermani could not speak more highly of Danny Weatherholt and what she has brought to this team. Talking about her career in general, just how she started off as a sub, even started off as a sub this year, but she's worked her way into that starting 11 with her play.
She's just so consistent on the ball. And she is technically third on the team right now in passing percentage. And that's what you want to see out of one of your midfielders.
That one off of Bourret. Weatherholt sends it in, and that hits off Van Eggman.
Yeah, that's a hard one to take for Bourret.
Bourret just leaning over. She'll be all right. Just a little dazed right now more than anything as you see her holding her throat where she got hit with the ball.
Really just knocks the wind out of you.
Yeah. Makes it hard to breathe for those first few seconds, and then once you can finally get your breath back, everything's all good. Carpenter. Sana not happy with that as that rolled right to Edmonds. Mingus comes and takes it away from Morgan. Heath. Klingenberg.
Mangus's defensive intelligence is just so good. She reads anything that Orlando Pride is throwing at him right now. She just reads it so well and gets to the ball first.
Last year, Mingus on that second 11. Rasso sends it in, but that's going to sail up and off the crossbar. I believe Harris got a piece of that as they hit the crossbar. I think she was trying to pass it to the back post, but wow. Almost a great chance for a goal, and Ashlyn Harris was right on, sent back in, headed again. Rasso diving on the pitch. Klingenberg now. Horan. Can she keep it in? She can, left, and that's gonna go off of Krieger, and another corner try coming for Portland.
A good slide by Krieger to knock that out of bounds, but Horan never gave up. And here's a look at that service. Oh, Ashlyn Harris got nothing on it there. Again, Orlando needs to be kissing that post, kissing that crossbar. Twice now, keeping them in this game.
First the post, then the crossbar. Can be a goalie's best friend.
And this corner kick was earned just by the hustle. It was a heavy touch by Lindsay Horan towards the end line, but she got to it, kicked it off of Allie Krieger.
Here is where Portland again is so dangerous. 5 headers this year by Lindsay Horan. Heath with the service. And Sinclair just boots that one to the left. And now Harris will have a goal kick.
That was just a tough angle for Sinclair to even have, she couldn't put it on frame because she was running away from the goal, but sometimes you just talk about putting it back into the mess, which she also missed, but a good effort regardless.
Some headers back and forth between the two teams. Mingus. Carpenter. Bouret over to Carpenter. Haran. Lets it go through. Klingenberg. Haran able to get by Weatherholt. Plays it forward. Able to let that roll out. Now a quick throw in. Now she'll hold up.
Moran's making a good run out of the midfield, just not able to find her.
Carpenter. Outside of Rasso. Rasso! And that one just out. And another corner try coming for Portland.
And really smart there by Allie Krieger just to knock it out of bounds. Sometimes you can try to shield that player off because you know it's going to be your own goal kick, but if she even tries to do that, who knows? Portland can get a touch and send it back across the face of the goal. So good, smart play by Allie Krieger.
The first 7 minutes, it was all Orlando with corners, and these last about 4, it's been all Portland. Will someone score on one of these corners? We'll find out. Heath. And no one there. That will roll out for a throw-in. So missed opportunity on that piece. It's one of those kicks that Heath would like to have back.
I think the lineup here tonight for Orlando has done a good job at not letting Tobin Heath and Sinclair and Haran combine all that much. But their best opportunities have come when they switch the point of attack quickly and get Rasso down the flank. Haven't really been able to find Tobin Heath too much on the left side.
Back heel, Rasso. Heath. Sinclair to Heath. That one, just Crnogorcevic couldn't get a good touch on it. Headed! Orlando requesting offsides, but no go on that, no matter, because Ashlyn Harris made the save.
And a good try there by Portland, but that initial ball in from Tobin Heath, Crnogorcevic just kind of swung a little bit too hard. All she really needed to do is just direct it back on towards the goal. She completely missed it.
Mingus.
Mingus has been fantastic this evening.
Klingenberg to Carpenter. As we near the end of the first. Bouret. Haran. Haran.
Fogging up the
Sinclair.
space, not much space for Portland.
Ran forward. Crnogorcevic, can she get there? Harris right there to pick it up.
And
Good look there, though.
And Ubogagu did a great job at just putting a little bit of body on Crnogorcevic. A smart play by Ashlyn Harris to not allow Crnogorcevic to get a touch inside the 18.
Sonnet. Marta. We'll have a throw and a little miscommunication there. But a throw in now coming for Portland. And the Thorns have never lost here in Orlando. 5-1-1 all time against the Pride. Presley. I'm going to say that's off Crnogorcevic. Throwing coming for Orlando. Still 0-0 here in the 43rd minute. Both teams have had opportunities. In this game, Orlando just 1 point ahead of Portland in the standings. Edmonds working her way up the field. Brand pokes at it but can't get it away. Mingus didn't get the touch you on that. Now to Morgan. Offside though was Morgan. So even though that bounced over Mingus, Morgan just a bit offside.
And the shift, and we've seen this a lot in other games this weekend. Tides are kind of shifting a little bit, going back and forth. First it was Orlando getting 5 corner kicks in the first couple minutes. Now Portland kind of has the upper hand here.
Carpenter lost one in, and no one there for Portland.
Their best opportunities have come when they're slightly more creative than that. LA Carpenter needs to do a little bit better to move the ball. Good read by Ubogagu.
Van Egmond. Edmonds. Up ahead, Van Egmond. Mingus right there though, and then shielding Van Egmond for a goal kick. Just doing a little bit of everything is Emily Mingus this evening.
Obviously not an opportunity created there for Orlando, but I like that movement from Danny Weatherholt to create that space for Van Egmond to run in on.
Marta knocking Carpenter over.
Certainly a foul, definitely shoulder into the back there on Carpenter. Which Carpenter's a tough cookie. She took a ball straight off of her face in the Australia versus US game in the Tournament of Nations. The fact that she continued on in that game and in that tournament is just crazy and healthy to play now.
2 minutes of stoppage time. Carpenter forward to Rasso. Rasso. Taken away by Ubogagu.
There were some words exchanged earlier in the match with Rasso and Ubogagu. Looking like there's some tempers flaring out there a little bit.
There's been some talking. Again, it's been very physical. Both teams do know how important this is, and competitive nature sometimes can get the best of people.
Physicality is okay. I don't mind physicality. I do mind words. You gotta let what you're doing on the pitch speak for itself.
Ran. Mingus. To Sinclair, gives it right back to Mingus. Presley. Marta. Right back to Morgan. Morgan cuts inside of Haran. Lets it go, and that's blocked in front by Bure. Weatherholt. Now Haran with it. High into the air. Presley plays it forward. Good tackle there by Klingenberg. Edmonds once again. She's just not had any luck this evening.
Yeah, she has gotten hit pretty hard. She's been on the turf a lot this evening. And actually this is not a bad tackle from Klingenberg. Left her feet at the right time just to make contact. Didn't allow Edmonds to get to that space. If she doesn't leave her feet, Edmonds is often running into that space.
Great tackle there by Klingenberg to save what could have been. Who knows what would have happened on that run down
Absolutely.
here at the very end of this first half. Last year, these two teams did play one another in the playoffs. Portland coming out with a victory. Edmonds. And Eggman. Portland requesting a handball. They're going to say that's enough for the first half on a very physical game.
Absolutely.
And a couple chances for both teams, but just not enough. You had Rasso really with the best chance for either team this evening and just unable to get it behind Ashlyn Harris. But going in the half, we are tied up 0-0, and both these teams have a lot of talking they need to do in the locker room to decide how they want to come back out the second half and attack the other team. It's been a tight one here in the first half. 0-0 is our score from Orlando, Florida. We'll be back with some halftime highlights for you right here on NWSLsoccer.com.